the receiving of forgiveness empowers us and encourages us to release forgiveness upon those who have hurt us and upon those who have done wrong to us. This is the thought for the day that I want to leave with you from the Lord's Prayer, in the part that Jesus taught us to pray, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Jesus equals yours and my sin, our trespasses, the wrong we have done against him, to a debt. During the global pandemic, many people lost their livelihoods. Many people had to take pay cuts. They lost their jobs. And one of the things that we see happening as the lock-in was lifted up, how people are going to their banks to take personal loans and they're getting in debt. Some others are going to pawn shops and pawning their jewelry and the assets they have. And what happens at the end of the month is anyone who's borrowed and taken money, and who are in debt are going to get a reckoning either by mail or by email at the end of the month. Now, what happens when you don't pay your debt? The interest keeps going up and your debt gets higher and higher, and it becomes difficult for someone to pay. Now, there is a debt that you and I could never pay with our life or with anything in this world. And Jesus equaled our sin to a debt that you and I cannot pay. The Bible says the wages of sin is death, but even our death could not purchase forgiveness and pardon for the debt of our sin. Only God, who sent Jesus Christ, is rich enough through his death and his sacrifice to cancel out your debt and my debt. Could you just imagine? What if God were to send a monthly statement of our spiritual debt of sin? It could be suddenly, statement would say, 3 a.m. in the morning, you had this thought that was not right. You spoke this word that was not right at this particular time of the day. And God sees everything. You see, the wonderful thing is this: if we were to get a debt sheet, a bill of our spiritual debt, we will be completely shocked. And you know what? Probably a lot of pages won't be enough. But thanks be to God in Jesus Christ, who came down to earth and gave his life for yours and my life to cancel the debt of our sin and to bring forgiveness. Now, as those who have been forgiven, the wonderful thing is this: when you are forgiven, you have the ability also to forgive others. In fact, that's something that Jesus expects from us, that as we have been forgiven, we also ought to forgive others who have done wrong to us as well. A story said of a very poor lady who moved into quite a well-to-do neighborhood. And when this poor lady somehow managed to move into a particular neighborhood, one rich lady, began to get very offended and upset that there was a poor lady who moved into this rich neighborhood. And what this rich lady used to do is constantly throw dirt to the side of the house of this poor lady, and she would keep throwing dirt and keep throwing dirt until one day this rich lady got a heart attack and had to be hospitalized. And you know who was the first person to go and visit this rich lady? It was that poor lady to whom this rich lady threw dirt into her house. And this poor lady brought with her a lovely bunch of sweet smelling, lovely looking roses. And when these roses were presented to this rich lady by this poor lady, this rich lady asked this poor lady, "Where did you get these wonderful, lovely roses from?" And this lady said, "These were roses that I grew in my garden." And this rich lady began to apologize and say, "I'm so sorry that I threw the dirt, to your side." And the poor lady said, "Don't worry about it. The very dirt that you threw is what helped these roses to grow and become so sweet smelling and so wonderful and so beautiful." I want you to know that when we choose to forgive people who have done wrong to us, even when they are not at times apologetic about it, what really happens is this: God makes your life like a sweet smelling rose, and God makes your life a blessing for others to experience God's forgiveness as well. I want us to know we are called by Jesus to keep short accounts with God and short accounts with one another. When you have a gratitude of being forgiven, you will develop an attitude of forgiving others in your life. If you've not yet received forgiveness, you can open your heart to Jesus today, because He is the only one who can cancel the spiritual debt of our sin. After all, He left everything in heaven and came down to earth to do just that. God bless each and every one of you.